right, I've got the recording going. I'm so glistening. I'm gonna get some of that glisten off there, man. Tell you what,
What were you guys doing before we started today? Goodness gracious.
nothing.
What haven't
Were
I
you,
done?
wa-
We weren't
were you
doing
you
that.
were, you were watching Cops, weren't you?
Speaking of cops, have you seen the new Beverly Hills Cop on Netflix?
Yeah,
Tristan
I
texted me and said it was good.
It just dropped. It was enjoyable. I didn't quite have the same magic, but it was enjoyable.
see. I think it did. I really had a great time. I've watched it twice. Um, and
Well,
I don't know.
I felt like he needed to go like there needed to be more moments where he could go on his crazy runs and rants.
I haven't watched it yet, so no spoilers.
No, but you do get all the great lines. Like all the cast has those like great moments.
Yes, that is true. They did bring a lot of people back. So it was fun and nostalgic. So
I had a great time.
I will give it nostalgia.
I saw online Happy Gilmore makes a quick appearance or something.
Shooter McGavin makes a quick appearance.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Shooter McGavin does. Okay.
Still funny.
I was like, oh, of course.
I was like, did I see Adam Sandler in that?
No, Shooter was there.
I asked Ashley, I was like, hey, do you want to watch the new Beverly Hills Cop with me? She's like, I never watched the other ones. But I'm like, okay, I guess I'll watch that on my own time.
I watched it the other day when Emily was drawing.
Yeah. I watched. My wife was out of town with Harper, and I was like, prime time to watch this because I don't think she'll be interested in it, but I had a great time.
I might have to wait till winter to watch it then. So when I can actually sit on my butt for a couple hours during the day and watch it. Right now, I
had a few hours between like 11 and 2 a.m. the other day, so I was like, all right, I'm marking time off. This is what we're doing.
All right. Well, Tristan, you want to kick us off with the intro, and then we'll start diving on in with things.
I figure we're already in it. Who needs an intro? Yeah, I'll kick us off real quick. You know what? Use the whole beginning. Let's just use all of it. What?
We'll go for it.
We'll just go for it.
And you know what? This is the intro. Cheers.
But if you didn't know what you were listening to, hope you enjoyed that cold open. Welcome to Tapping Into It here, where we're already launched into everything and talking about Beverly Hills Cop. If I guess it's number 4, right?
It would be number 4.
Fantastic. I really liked it. Jared hasn't seen it, so we'll circle back to you. You're the cop. Yeah. You should have seen it.
I don't always get to watch or do everything I want to.
You have
kids.
You have two tiny people.
I only caught it on happenstance. I just happened to be like sitting there. I'm like, all right, what's on Netflix? And it was like just added. So there you go.
My TV is on Disney 24/7, and the children control the remote.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
The time that I think I should be able to watch movies is usually it's me waiting to go to bed and reading a little bit of a book. So I wish I could.
What is that?
Stay up.
That's overrated.
Yeah, I get to have it a limited time period.
Yeah, I get that. I'm literally sitting in my car because
Yeah, so let's talk about you sitting in your car.
Yeah, okay. So here's the thing. I knew we had this scheduled, and just so last night I closed Jersey Boys at Circa, and then I went and shot part of a pilot for a film. Basically, we're creating this trailer to kind of fundraise for this film. I'm helping a buddy. And so I shot that. And then I went home and went to bed for a couple hours, then got up and filmed some more this morning. Then came to Circa for rehearsal because I'm playing drums in a show there. Then I left because I broke my brushes. So I had to run to Guitar Center. And then I got back here and I'm hopping on the call with you before I go back into rehearsal. All right. So that's why I'm in the car. Because I don't know if somebody's dying in it's Rock Island, so you never know. But so if you hear loud sounds, we play the game here in Rock Island. Is it a firework or gunshot? Most of the time it's a gunshot. So
sounds like Guilford.
I think I'm okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening here. But anyway, so I'm sitting in my car. But how are you guys? What has your day been looking like? I know it's a big day for you, Ethan. It's your day,
Yeah, I got up at 4:45 this morning.
Amen.
Got dressed and ate breakfast and got to work at 6 and ran through the songs before anyone else got there. Finalized a binder for one of my volunteers because I had a last minute switch in the middle of the night.
Sure.
and yeah, and then I had 2 full services that we did. The traditional service was normal, but for the contemporary service, we did like a really like stripped back because like 4th of July was Thursday, and that's usually when we have our practice. So I canceled practice, and I was like, you know what, we're just gonna keep this super simple. Everybody's out partying, having a good time. Like let's do songs everyone knows.
Sure.
And so we just stripped it back to just me on an acoustic guitar and 3 other vocalists, and we went to town on it. And it's actually, I thought it was a lot of fun.
Unplugged. Yeah. You went unplugged.
Went unplugged, kind of. I mean, my guitar was plugged in, but yeah, it was a nice acoustic set. And then I just spent the rest of the day, had lunch at the in-laws, and then just hung out there until time to come here and make a coffee and talk with you lads. Jared, how about you?
Well, my daughter woke up at 5:45 crying because she had a dream that my wife locked her in the garage. And so that's how we started out the morning. And then we drove to Longview, Iowa, north of Eldridge. Is it Longview or Long Grove?
Long Grove.
It's just Long Grove, just north of Eldridge. So our nephew got baptized into the church. So we drove up there, did that, and then had lunch. And remember, we got to swim at Ashley's sister's house. And then we
fun.
we drove home in a rainstorm and got Ashley and the baby, both allergies are bugging them in different ways, so we're dealing with that. And made some dinner, made the wife a cup of coffee, and gave her a Zyrtec, and she's laying down, and I'm up here. So
yep,
I
understand the Zyrtec. I've been dealing with a cold all week myself.
And the kids are locked in the closet.
not the garage.
Yeah, I mean, she can't whine. It's not coming true because you're right. It's not the garage. It's the closet.
That's right.
So
just slide a little cheese under the door. It's fine.
Well, she's into Harry Potter now, so she's kind of reliving that on her own. So
there you go.
Oh, all right. Well, very nice. Very nice.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I think last time we said we were gonna just dip our toes in the wild waters of music in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
I'll start off with a zinger, and then
Yes.
and then we can go from there. I was thinking about, I think one of the very first cassette tapes, besides the Bandits one that we had from Dad's band, one of the first cassette tapes was like a single, and it was the song "Are You Jimmy Ray?" You guys remember that one?
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
I don't think he went anywhere else other than
No.
that song. But yeah, I was like, well, that's a throwback. So anyways, that's where we're going to dive in today with Are You Jimmy Ray by Jimmy Ray. So take it away, gentlemen.
Well, that was the time when you could, I was telling Harper about this recently. I was like, there was a time where you could buy the cassette tapes for like $1.99 or something, and it was just a single. So it was like 1 or 2 songs on the cassette tape itself. And I remember there was that place in the mall that used to buy those, because I also had Jamiroquai's.
Yes. I think I still have the original CD of his that we bought back in the day.
Yeah. But you could buy those cassette singles, and I'm pretty sure that's what that was, because we had a bunch of those. But do you remember that, Jared?
I remember having Alanis Morissette's "Jagged Little Pill" on cassette, and that is a solid memory right there, because I remember we had a boombox in the basement, and we used to keep all of our cassette tapes around there, and I remember playing that one all the time as like my first cassettes. But it didn't seem like it was very long from when we went to cassettes to CDs. They kind of got
it was a very quick like overlap for us for our childhood.
Yeah.
For me it was pretty long, because I
was you're old,
little older than you fellas. But yeah, man, cassette tapes were like a huge thing. I remember I had the Genesis cassette, like that band Genesis. I had that, and we had a ton of country and Western. Obviously, we had Garth Brooks and all those guys, and Alabama, and like Diamond Rio, Sawyer Brown, George Jones. I wore the hell out of a George Jones tape for a long time.
I'd like to make a point of fact here. Tristan is only 2 years older than I am, so despite how we look, and I have beautiful hair and he has none, there's only a 2-year difference.
Careful. Well, I shot a little bit this morning, so my fake hair is in, so you can kind of look at that. How's that?
Well, and I saw how much hair you had.
Put the hat back on
for the play as well.
Well, that's a wig, my friend. They wig me a lot these
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
But I am growing my hair back, and it's a little bit interesting because I've been shaving it off for a while. And so my agent that I have out in LA was like, you need to kind of grow it back. We need to see that. And I was like, okay. So the back and the sides really have flourished, and the top not so much, but it's starting to come back in. Like I've been using some Rogaine and stuff.
Bruce
It's
Willis
coming
had a
back.
great career with no hair.
That's right. Well, I
I
mean,
know.
look at Paul Giamatti. Like that dude, like he's got the receding
I
stuff
know.
going on, but he's killing it.
I know, but when he was younger, he had hair. Because I was trying to
Ah, yeah,
pull
that's
off
true.
like the Ed Harris thing or the Rob Corddry look, you know? And they're like, well, grow your hair back because it's easier for us to show, like, sure, you can shave it, that's great. But like we need to see you with hair. Because I did lose out on a few roles recently because they're like, well, he doesn't have any hair. I was like, damn it. So
They put fake hair on Vin Diesel. They can put fake hair on you.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not a big enough name for them to like spend money on that though, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, how did we get on that?
I think it was the age comment.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
Just,
Anyway,
it's good.
music. I I think our parents did a pretty good job of setting us up with music. Because like I remember dad like we had a Journey cassette too. Because I remember Journey was a big part of like my childhood and Queen. I had a Queen cassette which I recently found. Um, and so like even though dad was in like a country western band, I feel like our breadth of knowledge of like music was pretty good. At least I think. Maybe I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, I felt like we were
I
pretty well rounded. What about you, Jared?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think we've all grown up to like a lot of different genres. I mean, there'll be some days I'm jamming out to the Temptations, and then the
Yeah,
next one I'm jamming out to some late '90s, early 2000s Ludacris, or going way back to '90s country music that we grew up to. So, I mean, I think we're all well versed. And my thing is, if it's good music, it's good music. I don't care who it's made by or when.
yeah, yeah. Unless it's like modern day country, I can't get behind it right now. I have a hard time.
I don't know. I like Morgan Wallen and Luke Combs. I really do.
Oh, Luke Combs, he can get like he's yeah, that dude is great. But I can't get down with the Morgan Wallen and like I don't know the country rap stuff. I just can't. I have a hard time.
But even if you just take that outside of it, though, he's got some. I don't know. It's a different style, but I mean, it's no different than introducing country rock in the '90s
Yeah,
versus what country music was in the '70s
sure.
and early '80s. You know, I think the advent of country rock started probably what in the late '80s, early '90s, probably, and then it kind of picked up from there. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just evolving like music does. But
maybe I need to give that a better shot. Like the bro country, I can't. I have a hard time with the bro country.
isn't again, if it's good music and it's got a good tune, good harmony, I'm gonna like it. You know,
Sure.
um, I'm not picky, just like I'm not picky with movies. You know, as long as I'm entertained and I get down with it, I'm happy.
Sure.
Yeah, I haven't gotten too much into like recent country, I would say. I mean, Emily and I watched the show Nashville when it was popular. And so like
Oh, sure.
we follow like Claire Bowen and Charles Eston and Jonathan Jackson and Chris Carmack, like those guys. And some of them are like producing really good music right now. So that kind of like dips our toe into like
Sure.
modern country, but it's not like the modern like pop stuff that's up.
I
Um,
have no idea who any of those people are.
that's all right. They're really good. Actually, you would know Charles Eston because he was often a regular rotating fourth chair on Whose Line Is It Anyways?
Oh,
He was
I
they'd call him Chip. Um,
I haven't
I,
watched Whose Line Is It Anyways since Drew Carey left the show in the
Yeah,
'90s or
but
early
it in
2000s, whatever it
anyways,
was.
if you ever went back, you would recognize who that is. But Emily and I were in Nashville last weekend, and we went to Honky Tonk Row one night, and we were just kind of like, checking out the bars, and there was one band that was playing, and they played some like modern country, and I mean, it was enjoyable, but I was like, I don't know these lyrics. And then he's like, well, we're gonna do some Jason Aldean, but let's go ahead and throw it old school. And I mean, it like old school for Jason Aldean's like not that long ago.
oh,
Um,
Jesus.
but they did Hicktown, and I was like, hey, that I'm familiar with. I was expecting like when he said old school, I was like, how old are we going? Are we going like Watermelon Crawl old? Like we didn't go that old.
See, when somebody says
Wow.
old school, I think 80s and 90s, but I guess old school technically could be the early 2000s.
Yeah, right.
Because,
Like that's just 20 years ago.
24 years ago, bruh.
Yeah,
Well,
crazy.
it's
I don't
like
like it.
it's like I think I saw something on Facebook. It was comparing to like us now, how people in like was it like the 70s looked at people from World War II or I don't know. It's a weird comparison, but I'm
Sure.
like that's not fair. But
Yeah.
I also have to remind myself I'm just a few years away from 20 years in Afghanistan. So it's kind of like, okay, I guess I
Dude.
am that old.
Has it really been that long?
Wow. That's
4 years.
crazy.
Well,
Whoa.
3,
Okay.
yeah.
That really like messed me up a little bit. Like,
Mhm.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I won't recover from that one for a hot minute because that seemed like it was only like, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago.
Oh, yeah, time flies, dude. I mean, it's just ridiculous how fast things go and you look back and you're like, holy my God, that was that long ago. But then you
Wow.
realize that, you've almost completely lost all of your hair and I'm almost 40. So
You know, I don't like your tone.
So let's explore anything else you guys want to say about music in the
we
music
could go all day.
category.
We can
you-
talk about this all day.
Speaking of which, did you see the post just recently on our Tapping Into It or Tapscott Brothers Instagram page?
I don't have Instagram.
Because Mom has been sending me. Well, get Ashley to show you because Mom has been sending me photos from our childhood.
She was asking
did
me
see
today to
those.
point. Yeah, so I have a Snapchat and a Facebook. I don't know how to do Instagram or whatever else is out there. But she was showing me today when we were driving back from the cities, and she's like, "Who's this? Who's this?" And I was like, "Well, that's Ethan." And that I was like, because she's like, "Well, he had such lighter hair when we were younger. You kind of had some blonde highlights because we were out in the
Because
sun
we
all the
were
time."
outside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
so it was bleached a little bit, but I think Ethan's also introducing probably a little, dye in there somewhere because there's no way you don't have at least a gray popping through or anything.
Actually, like right. Well, peppered all throughout this is gray. But if you were here in person, when this kind of feathers itself out on both sides, I get that like Mr. Fantastic thing going on where it's like just gray down the sides.
He's
I
got
think
a
it'd be a
little
good
bit of
look
that
for you.
American Indian thing that none of us got. That he's only one. He has a little bit of that.
I don't think I got anything.
No, I didn't. I didn't get a thing.
I mean, I'm not even good with a bow and an arrow, and I go deer hunting every year. I mean, so I got nothing.
So anyways, I bring those pictures up because one, it was proof that we've swam in a horse trough because it's actually us swimming in a horse trough.
Yes.
But then the other one was us doing our concerts. And Tristan, that's your white Fender.
That is the guitar.
Your throwback Fender. May it rest in pieces.
Yes, it's in some landfill in Davenport somewhere. Yeah.
All you had to ask is I would have snuck into that building and got it. That's all you had to say is, "Hey, bro, go break into my place and grab my stuff." I would have done it.
No, so they put fences and up and like they had it secured and everything else. But it was interesting because we got the sign off the door was the only thing. But they wouldn't even let us go in because of like the safety hazards. But I tried so many times. I was like, just let me in, just let me get a few things out. And the cops were like, I can't do it, man. I can't do it. And I was like, you know who I am? But
just turn. Here's an Abe Lincoln.
Yeah.
Let me slide on in there.
Little Andrew Jackson.
It got to the point, dude, when like some of the police officers that were down there, they would see me and they're like, "We still can't let you in, man." I was like, "You can't blame me for trying."
I just wasn't sure if you changed your mind today.
Yeah, right. But yeah, that was cool to see that. That was awesome. That was before all the autographs were on it too. So that was like real early on.
It was fresh. And it looks like you actually knew some chords. Like in those photos, I was like, dang, he's actually got some chord structure going.
I didn't know a whole lot back then. I mean, now I play pretty well, but like, yeah, I knew a few. I knew like enough to get me through like Every Rose Has Its Thorn. And that was like the chord structure for every song, I was like, all right, G, B, A, C. Like I know those. That'll get us through most country songs.
Didn't you have, or did Dad have a different guitar downstairs too, or something like that? He had a old box guitar.
He's got his acoustic.
Yeah, he had an acoustic.
He still has it. It's in his basement at the house.
Yeah, it's the same one.
Oh,
too,
I didn't know that. Okay, must be in like down where his drums are set up then.
Yeah, it's down by the couch area where Nate used to play games.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, it's over in the corner. Yeah, okay, yeah, I've seen it down there. I haven't been downstairs in a minute.
I mean, I guess to to wrap up the music part before we go off into another tangent, I think we had a pretty, I don't know, it was pretty wide. Like I was fans of lots of stuff because Dad was fans of lots of different kinds of stuff as well. And like today, I'm still a fan of, I'm playing 60s music right now all the time, and it's great.
Oh, dude, I think Grandma Peggy made me some 40s and 50s big band music on DVD, and I got that still laying around somewhere.
Yeah.
The Big Bopper and stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
heck yeah.
I mean, Emily and I
Everyone's
swing
fine.
dance, so we love that kind of stuff.
There you go. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
no,
love it.
I remember. I mean, like I briefly talked about last time, it was like 98 Degrees. You remember all those like boy band things, kind of.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't know if you call them a band. They weren't playing the instruments, but all that stuff was popular around the late 90s, early 2000s. And I just love a good harmony. I don't really care. It's like if somebody can legitimately sing some good music, I want to listen to it.
Oh, yeah.
And you remember Fire Lake. They used to do the 4th of July thing, and they'd have like the karaoke contest or whatever like that.
I won that one
And
year with Travis Frank.
you did. And I pretty sure I went out and tried to do a 98 degree song, and I was like wearing a bowling shirt and a pair of jean shorts, and I unbuttoned it to pretend like, I had muscles, like the guys on 98 degrees. And I did this song. I think everybody in the crowd's like, all right. And so then Ethan and Travis Frank and his little sister came on
We
with this.
did
with
pretty
this
fly
big
for a white
bopper
guy.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean, they got that
no.
crowd up, and I'm out here trying to win hearts and minds, and they're out there just freaking like jamming out. And I'm like, at the time, I'm like, I'm trying to be sexy, and these guys are out here just entertaining. And I'm like, well, that's the difference between a singer and an entertainer, And
You were trying to be sexy at age 12 or whatever you were at the time.
Putting your heart
I'm
and
still
soul
not.
into it.
I
And
don't
here
think at any
I'm
point in
still
time.
embarrassed
Yeah.
about my performance some 20 some years later. But we
Well,
won. So
I have maintained that 12-year-old physique up until this point at 38 years old. So at no point in time have I ever been sexy to be able to unbutton my shirt and women are going to flaunt all over me. I'm still not sure how my wife picked me. I must have a good personality or something.
it was all in the
I
howdy,
mean,
man.
I will say, watching you flirt with girls that time you came down to visit me at Western was one of the funniest things.
Dude, I say howdy all the time at work.
I think it's your fault that I say howdy, and it drives Emily bonkers. She's like, "Why do you say howdy?" And I was like, "I don't know. I think it's my brother's thing." She's like, "You only say it because of Jared." And I'm like, "Probably."
My wife will concur that I am still as awkward now in a social setting, probably just as I was when I was younger. There's no doubt. I mean, I'm just weird.
I might be the same way because like I can command a stage, as weird as that is. Like I'm comfortable on a platform. Like if I'm in a musical, if I'm in a play, if I'm preaching, if I'm leading music, like I can like I feel so confident because I'm so prepared and so know what I'm doing. And if I'm in a group of strangers, if I'm not the person who is like the center of attention, like telling the funny story or being overly like I'm the guy just kind of chilling off on the side, like drinking a soda, not talking to anyone.
Depends on the context of the conversation, because sometimes it's like, I am not I don't know how to work on cars. I don't follow sports. I don't do.
I'm not your man's man.
No, I'm not. They're like, I can talk about some military things. I can talk about, work related stuff. And it's like, if I'm not in my little cohort of friends at work to be able to talk about similar things, it's kind of like, like today, the guys were talking about building things, like building houses and doing wood. And I'm like, yeah, so that thing connects to that, right? I mean, you have to use like a screw. That's what that thing's called. And they just kind of look at me and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go inside, drink coffee, and sit in the corner.
Kind of the same, dude, because like I entertain people 5 nights a week at circa 200 or 300 people at a time, and then I have a talk show during the day, so it's like thousands of people. That's no problem for me. You put me in like a social setting where maybe I don't know, like you said, if I'm kind of the person they're talking to, I think I can entertain. But if not, I have no idea what to do with my hands, with my face, with my stance. I don't know. I turn into the most awkward sitcom character on the planet trying to figure out, all right, what should I do now? Because I can't be like, go Bears, because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah, usually when I'm around a bunch of guys who are, because like there's always like a friend group where there's a bunch of people talking about sports, and after a while, they'll look at me. I'm like, yeah, sports balls. Uh-huh. Yeah. The ball in the net in the thing. Yeah. Uh-huh. And they like,
Unless it's the
and then
Cubs, I
they
really don't mind
realize
it.
what's going on.
My thing is, I like sports. I liked playing soccer. I like football. I like baseball. I don't like basketball at all. But it's like I like those things. I liked to play them. I won't mind watching them. I can't tell you the players, and like these guys know all their
Stats.
stats, you know.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
right.
how in the hell do you? I guess maybe my brain has just kind of stopped. Like it's like we are full. Nothing else is allowed in here because I just cannot sit and just try to absorb that. I've tried. I was like, you know, one year I'm going to get into like baseball. I wanted to get back into
Sure.
baseball and really kind of absorb that. And so I started doing it, and I'm like, yeah, there's no way. There's no way I'm going to be able to absorb all this information, but also keep up with it to stay up to date with it. I can't do it. There's no
No,
way.
even theater stuff. Like I don't know much about like what's on Broadway. What is I have no idea because I don't. This is weird, but I don't like theater that much to follow it. I like doing it, but and like creating it, but I have no idea, the main players or anything like that. Now, film, I could tell you some stuff, or like random Disney stuff. Like I know stuff like that. Like you put me in a room and want me to like talk Disney with people, I'm like, all right, let's go, let's do this.
No,
But
I'm the
that's
same.
about
I'm the
it.
same way with like with music or like the parts and like the itty bitty tiny pieces of like a guitar back here. Like I know guys,
Oh, sure.
they can just go to town on it. I'm like, that tunes the guitar. This makes the noise. like that's all I care to
Right.
know.
I have a weird thing, and my wife hates it. I read articles all the time. All the time, I read
Okay.
articles. But then I'll go further and I'll find something about it on Wikipedia. So then I'm researching it for whatever reason. I'm like, oh, well, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I want to read more about it. So I
Yep.
will. So there are often times where I have a lot of useless knowledge.
Oh yeah, like
And
Marvel,
somebody might,
Harry Potter, like anything I watch, useless knowledge, but it's there forever.
yeah, but sometimes, like I said, it's just some kind of like it'll be about a person. Like, oh, I'll watch a movie. I'm like, oh, who's this person? What are they doing? Then I know all this stuff about this person.
You'll
You know,
IMDb them.
yeah. And so then it's like, then somebody will say, like, oh, yeah, do you know that person was born in Davenport? You know, there's some singer now, blonde girl with tattoos. I can't think of her name, but
Julia Michaels.
yeah, Julie Michael. So she was a songwriter, born in
Yeah.
Davenport, raised in like California, something like that.
Yeah.
That is a piece of information that is still in my head. And I don't know if it's because it's more of a local connection. So it's kind of like, oh, that's neat. But she was a songwriter and then she started singing and whatever, she's not a bad vocalist, honestly, but it's just like, stuff like that. Totally useless knowledge to anything else, but for whatever reason, I it's there.
See, I go down rabbit holes when I'm like, I'll research one thing and that'll lead me to another thing and that'll lead me. And it isn't until I get to the weirdest conspiracy theory about that thing that I'm thinking, all right, I have gone too far. It's 3 a.m. I need to come back because I've reached, oh, the moon landing was fake. Okay, well, we have to circle back around to why I looked up Channing Tatum. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I want to watch. I do want. Me and Ashley are going to go see that movie though.
dude, that movie
It
looks
looks.
great. So let me tell you a story about that because here's another we can run down. So, sideline
Let's go
on my
for it.
other podcast that I have, I am
The
known as
Disney
the
one?
hub. Yeah. So, I'm known as the hub that kind of brings everything back to focus. On this podcast, for whatever reason, somebody brought this up to me that listened. They're like, on this podcast, you are the one that goes down a spoke and then Ethan has to bring you back. So, I don't know why.
Well,
But
this
anyway,
episode is 100% proof of
it
that
is.
theory.
It is. And I don't know why. I think it's because on that one I have to be so I don't know. Anyway, but so when we were in Hawaii on our honeymoon last year, I started writing this short film that was basically about how they hired this guy to sell the moon landing and to film it. Before I'd seen that trailer, knew anything about that, and then that trailer dropped, and I was like, "Oh, I mean, it's not exactly what I wrote, but it's very similar." And I was like,
Did you
"Man, I thought I
you
had a good
lost
idea."
that? You lost that in Hawaii, didn't you? Somebody picked it up and like, this is good. Let's write this.
No, I have it in my phone. I never printed it out. Maybe
So,
all those
so
conversations I had,
they hacked your phone.
they had something, but mine's a little different than that one, so it's still okay. But when I saw that trailer, I was like, oh, because for whatever reason, I was sitting on a beach in Hawaii and like Savannah's reading, and I'm just like, I don't have a device in my hand, and my brain has had time to just go to a weird to whatever places it wants to go to in the sun, right? So I start thinking about it. I'm like, well, what if they did fake that? Like there's some proof out there that that could be it. And I'm like, well, what if that were a movie? That'd be kind of fun to like play with the idea of like, how do you fake it? Like, what do you do? And Savannah goes, what are you thinking about? And I was like, oh, about how they fake the moon landing. And she goes, I'm sorry, what? And I was like, I'm going to write it down. And so I wrote it down, and it's just been, I don't know. And I'm not like a big conspiracy theory guy, although as I get older, I'm not going to lie to you at all here, I do start to buy into some things. I'm like, you know what? You're starting to make a lot of sense. So I blame the last year and a half on that. But anyway,
I'd venture to blame the last 4 on that one, but
yeah. So anyway, the moon landing might have been faked, I guess is what I'm saying. Anyway, moving on.
We should literally just label these podcasts as something and then not even talk about it. Like
what?
That's what.
Well, it was going to start as music, and I don't even know where we've gone.
We're just having a conversation at this point, and it's just somebody brings up something interesting. We're like, yeah, let's go there.
To be completely honest, though, this right here, what's happening, is kind of a snapshot of our holidays when we get together.
Oh, yes. 100%.
Because we're never together that often. I think this is the most, like doing this podcast is the most we've been together for a very long time.
That's the most I've talked to either one of you in a very long time. I did go on vacation with Jared a couple years ago, and that was it.
That's true. Unfortunately, we could not make that because we already had plans.
I know.
But the odd thing is, I have been to Disney with Tristan, and I've been to Disney with Ethan.
Yeah, that was funny because I don't think we planned that.
No,
did we just kind of run into each other?
The first time we were on our honeymoon at Disney, and you guys just happened to be in Florida, and you guys were making a stop or something to that effect. And so we were like, oh, well, we're going to be here at this time. And you guys, I have no idea where we were at. What's the place with the big ball? I'm brain dead at the moment.
Oh, Epcot.
We're at Epcot because I think there was a concert. I think.
Oh yeah, the
Little Big Town.
Eat to the Beat.
Who was it? Was that Little Big Town, or who was it that we saw there?
I don't remember. I've seen a couple places, a couple things there.
I thought it was some group that we knew of, but anyhow, so we met there and we watched that. But then we actually did an entire vacation with Tristan, Harper, and Savannah. And I bring that up all the time actually because I was like, yeah, we went to Disney on our honeymoon, and granted, we were we both got like sinus infections like literally the day of. And I was like, we didn't remember much. I said, but then we go with Tristan and Savannah, and they're like, we're doing this, and run fast the whole time. And so we saw so much more of the park. But yeah, so I mean, we always end up somewhere together.
I think it was Postmodern Jukebox.
You're right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And actually, I saw that Yellow Card, that's a throwback, is going to be playing Eat to the Beat this year. How about that?
Yeah, their lineup's kind of cool. I was like, I wish I could make it down there. Who will you see? Because you're going to be there.
Yeah, we're actually going to be there when Yellow Card is there. So we're seriously considering going just to see Yellow Card.
Oh yeah, throwback punk days.
Yeah, grab some food and listen to Yellow Card.
Yeah, we're hoping to go back at the end of December, maybe, because Savannah has a gig. Because me and Savannah are both pretty much booked through the end of the year, which is great. But then she goes to Florida to do Jersey Boys for like 2 weeks, and right before that, there's like a few days in between my last gig and when her gig starts, and she'll have to be in Florida anyway. So I was like, maybe we'll just slide in a Disney trip for like 4 days. Maybe. But we'll see. Yeah,
because we're going to be down there. We have a Disney cruise that we booked like a year and a half ago or whatever with her family. So some members of her family are going to be on that. So we're going to do that and then do a couple days. I think we're going to stay at my in-laws' house in Florida afterwards just to extend a vacation and use that time we have.
Yeah,
me and Dad are flying forever. Me and Dad are flying down to Florida first week of August to go see Nate for a weekend.
Yeah, Dad asked me to go, and I couldn't make it work with my schedule, but I wish I could have. But
yeah, I don't think I have enough vacation time to make it work with everything I've already planned for the year. But
it just happens to fall on a weekend that I'm off.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, nice.
It just happens to fall on a weekend I'm off. So all I had to do was just take 1 day off of extra of my time. But yeah, I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of neat. Just a weekend thing. I don't have to pay for it. Even better. But anywho, where are we going to now? Let's go. pick a different direction. Let's flip there.
Oh,
Make it
okay.
weird.
If you want to go another direction, so we're still we've kind of covered Sherrard. I feel like we've done a good job in Sherrard. Let's visit Fire Lake. Let's visit the great move, the exodus of the Tapscotts from Sherrard to Fire Lake, which really like wasn't very far.
I don't remember the move very much. But I think I remember the awe of moving from that tiny little house and moving to this bigger house where I had my own bedroom. That was kind of like a thing. And I'm like, I have my own room. I don't have to share it with somebody.
That house was huge.
That house was huge.
Oh, yeah.
But one thing. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I just like being close to the lake because we definitely took advantage of that.
Oh, dude.
Oh my God.
Swimming in the lake. I learned how to water ski on that lake.
Ice skating.
So
we learned
all the sledding down.
Yes.
Hill.
Do you remember, Jared? I'm pretty sure this was with you because I think Ethan would have been too young. Do you remember we tried to take Dad's little boat out and the wind was so strong that we could not get back? Do you remember this?
I thought I remember being. I thought I was on a paddleboard once or something like that out in the we were trying to swim to the beach across or something.
So but you and I had taken out the boat because we were like, oh, we're gonna go fishing, but the wind was so strong that we ended up on the other side, and then Dad made us carry that boat all the way back around back to like our landing down there. It was miserable. So I'm surprised you don't remember that because it was terrible.
It's probably why I blocked it out, honestly.
Yeah. it's trauma brain protecting him from those memories.
Yeah.
I remember when
knocked me out with an oar or something too.
I remember when we moved out there, there were certain things that we put in the back of the moving truck, and we didn't have enough straps to strap them down. So we rode in the back of the moving truck and kind of braced things so that they wouldn't fall. It was like some china cabinet that Mom had. But I remember riding in the back of a moving truck with the little light on, and then I also remember Pongo chasing us.
Yeah, I remember
keeping
that,
up with the moving truck.
Chased. From what I remember, he chased us almost to the corner mark or something like that.
It was all the way to corner mark.
Yeah.
Wow, I don't remember that very well.
Yep.
Huh.
Brief memory. I don't remember being in the back of a U-Haul band. It would not surprise me. And that time that we grew up, it wasn't there was really no laws about not being seatbelt.
I'm sure there were, but nobody cared.
There was no seatbelt laws then. It was kind of like survival of the fittest, And,
yeah, you made it work.
That's why the generation was so strong. You either died or you didn't.
Right.
That's why our heads are so thick, probably hitting our heads on the dashboard too many times.
Oh.
I do remember having a very good time out there. There was obviously we're going to get to some of the downfall, but prior to that, with the trampoline, going up on the balcony and trying to see.
No, we would jump off the balcony to the trampoline.
I know.
And sometimes went to-doing, and then
and then you would, if you jumped the wrong way, you were going down the hill.
Yeah. You were not doing well. The pictures, Mom sent me pictures of Grandma Cass on the trampoline.
I was gonna post that this week.
I remember that. Yeah. Marty broke his arm or his collarbone.
Marty broke his shoulder. Yeah.
They got done with a concert, and he was came back, and I don't know if he was too drunk to drive or was helping Dad unload or something, but it was 1 a.m, and he's out there doing backflips on a trampoline, and then. And then the next several shows, he's playing keyboard and trying to play saxophone with one arm locked up in a sling.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember that, man. What a good player he was too. Oh man.
You know what I do remember that I hated was de-weeding that rock hill behind the house.
I hate weeding to this day because of how much we had to go back.
There was so much landscaping to take care of there. I remember that. Yeah, that was chaos.
Well, I got quite a bit around my house, but I pick, but I also just spray the crap out of them. I'm I won't even mix it with water. I'm oh, everybody's dying today, and I just put it right in there and spray it. I'm nothing's growing back here for at least a century.
I was telling Harper about the pond that we had, the little pond with the fish that had the little fountain. Do you remember that? in the
Oh, yeah.
back.
Yep, I do. In the
Right
yep,
out
in the
that
rocks.
sliding door.
Yeah, right outside the doors there. That was really cool. Also, that's where that, remember we had that tornado. We had a tornado here in town not too long ago. And I was telling about Harper about that time that we had that water spout on the lake. Do you remember that? The one that took the
Well,
trampoline?
we
yeah,
we were
because
standing in the dining room
well,
looking
yeah,
outside.
even before that, we were on the trampoline and we had the hose hooked up to it. And we
Oh,
were
yeah.
we were playing on the trampoline and it looked like it was starting to get cloudy. And mom was like, "Hey, it's time to come in for lunch." And so we went inside and mom's like making macaroni. And all of a sudden, just everything goes dark. And the
And you
wind
could
was just so nuts.
yeah, you couldn't see outside anymore. And that was kind of the point when mom's like, okay, we can't see out. Like it was that bad. It was all just rain wash. And then all of a sudden we hear glass break. And that was my bedroom.
Yeah,
And so
glass
that's when we
break.
all ran
And
downstairs.
then there were leaves and like little branches like flying into the hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Well, so
wild.
after that, my TV and my little dresser chest or whatever it was, it fell on the ground. But I remember in my bunk bed, there were shards of glass embedded in the
Wow.
wood frame. And then our trampoline ended up in the neighbor's yard.
Yeah, it
And
got picked up
then
over our house and like dropped two doors down.
and that
Yeah.
old couple that lived right there next to us, all their windows got broke out. And then the house down at the bottom of the cul-de-sac, its roof got ripped off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
That
crazy.
was so wild and crazy.
For your bedroom window, it was like a 2x4 flew into it and then everything like sucked out of it. It was because it was just like all over the front yard. It was nuts.
Yeah.
So,
That was
oh,
crazy.
so cool. You remember the snow drifts out in the front yard?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
we could literally like big tunnel our way through there.
Mhm. Yeah, I
That
have
was
good
cool.
memories of that time actually a lot. Like
Dude, Fire Lake
all
was
the time spent in the lake. And
that was great.
We used to hide. So it's all built up now. If you drive down there, there's actually houses in that lot to where like we had the tree house and stuff like that.
I know, I
So
know.
where it circles down, there was just that pine tree there in the middle.
Oh yeah, the
And
one
they
that
would
got
plow the
its top
snow.
zipped off.
Yeah. But they would plow the snow around there, so it would make this big like thing, and we'd hide in there and throw snowballs at cars when they came around the circle and stuff like that. Oh
I
yeah,
remember the
good
kick
times.
the can games out in that neighborhood too.
At,
Were like
at the
Dude.
was it the Gilfillans?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it'd be
yeah.
the it'd be the Gilfillans.
the
The
Sims.
The Lemons would play. Kayla, whatever her name down the street. I mean, it was probably the largest kick the can game you ever saw because there's probably 30 kids, and we did the whole neighborhood. I mean, we're going in people's yards, and we're not caring, and it's just, I mean, hours in the dark, and
Well,
nobody
it was
cared.
the Menzers and the Sims and
Oh yeah,
Justin
Holcrans.
Beeman and man, all those guys were the
oh yeah.
Holcrans.
That was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
And then like what was it, like 11 o'clock or midnight, mom would just come out on the porch and just holler across the just across the cul-de-sac. Like how
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
we're just bringing our hick to Fire Lake. Like
But I mean, everything, that was kind of like a valley where all the houses sat on top and it went down like that. So I mean, if
I
you holler
always
down that,
absolutely hated it though when someone would if I was the person who was it and someone kicked that stupid soccer ball all the way down to the bottom.
down,
Ugh.
yeah, you're like, no.
Yeah, we had good times. We had some really good times. And it's interesting because sometimes when I do think of like holidays and I get nostalgic for like what the holidays used to be, sometimes it's the 7th Avenue, the Oakwood Avenue house in Sherrard, but sometimes, and more often than not, it's the few Christmases that we had in that house in particular, for whatever reason. Because mom sent me, I don't know if she posted it, but she sent me a picture of Grandma Bear and all of us in that house.
Oh yeah.
And for whatever reason, I remember that very vividly.
Well, Grandma Bear died when I was like a senior at Galesburg or something like that.
It was 2003. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, but I was sophomore, junior. But yeah, I mean, like I remember, I'm like, okay, well, she made it. I mean, she lived in Sherrard when we lived there. And then she went to the nursing home in Galesburg or Knoxville, and then we moved to Galesburg and stuff like that. But it's like, yeah, she was there for all of it.
Well, and she, I tell mom this all the time, but she, and I've talked to my therapist about this too, but she appears in my like dreams all the time. Like she's a reoccurring character every now and then. She'll just appear when either something is going right and she just wants to remind me to like step forward, or she appears right before something goes down and it just kind of warns me a little bit. And there's like 2 instances that I always kind of go to. One was she was like right after the collapse, she was like, hey, everything's going to be okay. And I was like, perfect, this is great. But then right before that, a couple days before that, she came to me and was like, "You don't need to work so hard this weekend. You can take a break." Because normally I would be at the theater and like working and handling shit, but that weekend I went to a theme park to cover something for work. And like so like she's just always there. Like she's always there in like a weird way, but not like in a
I
haunting way at all, but just she's always there.
I had
Interesting.
I had a very funny dream that was mixed between like Scrooge and something else. And it had all of us, but Grandpa Teddy was in it, right? And
Uh-huh.
so Ethan was a priest, I was a cop, and you were a struggling actor.
I'm a
Everything
priest.
right? Well, pastor, whatever, same thing. I'm Catholic, but it was the same thing. Like we all did what we did, but like Grandpa Teddy came and knocked on Tristan's door, and it was like kind of like a thing out of Scrooge, like, oh, you need to get your life together. What are you doing? And
Uh-huh.
then like you're calling me, and I show up. I'm like, are you on drugs? And Ethan's like, oh, you did. And so it's kind of like a comedy in my mind. I'm like that. Tristan could make something. Ethan, somebody could make something out of that. But it was a funny thing. It was like,
Interesting.
yeah, you showing up like into the door with like boxers. You got pizza boxes all over the floor. You weren't married with a kid in that weird dream, but that's
Well, how do you know I don't have pizza boxes lying on my floor now? And I am married.
because
You don't know my life.
I bet Savannah cleans it up.
You don't know
Actually,
me.
it's the other way around. I clean up the messes at our house. But yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I Grandpa Teddy appears every now and then in stuff, but Grandma Bear is like she's the one that's like just always around. So it's
Yeah.
interesting. I don't know.
I've got good memories of all grandparents. Like not a lot
Yeah,
of like Grandma Bear, Grandma Dorothy too much because I was more young, like
yeah, right.
when they were around the most. But like yeah, sometimes like someone will say a phrase and I'm like, oh, that sounds like something Grandpa Teddy would say. And then like I can kind of like hear his voice in my head. I'm like, that's
Yeah,
just cool.
yeah,
Like Grandpa's
yeah.
awesome.
No, those memories are nice to hang on to. Yeah, it's really cool.
So, one thing that I think we're going to do in the future, thinking about holidays that we've touched base on. So something to look forward to, listeners, all five of you.
I think there's six now. I think there's
It
six.
might be six, but I think it'd be fun to do a Halloween specific episode where we dive into all things Tapscott Halloween, and
Love
then
Halloween.
Absolutely.
maybe even a Christmas episode, all things Tapscott Christmas, and
Absolutely.
just dive in and experience some of those things. But I think we've kind of explored the joyous sides of Sherrard and Fire Lake and have made our way possibly to the bomb that exploded our family, known as the divorce. So if you guys are up to it, possibly next episode, we might dive into that end of the gene pool and see what happens. And I think we're going to go the route of maybe one at a time, just kind of share what that, I don't know, how you experienced that. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll be curious to see, how it was interpreted for you guys because you guys were a lot younger, but I think we all three had very different experiences with it. So I think that'll be fascinating to kind of dissect and see how it all went down and what we all took from it too. Because I don't necessarily think that it automatically means a negative thing always. I think there are negative aspects of it, but I think we all learned a lot. And I think when you can learn something, that's again, that's me. And if you've listened, you know that I have this like nagging pivot positivity thing where I'm like, yes, it was awful, but I learned this, so it was a positive thing.
Well, and we're this many years removed from it. So
Yeah,
like we're all doing really well for ourselves, in spite of it. But I think it would be interesting to go
yeah,
there.
I think so
Well,
too.
I think it more is a fate thing. It's like, all right, well, Ethan surely would not have met Emily. I probably would not have met my wife. We wouldn't definitely be in the position we're in because Galesburg was probably never an idea for any of us. Ethan kind of found where where he wanted to walk, the line of faith, doing meeting the friends he did here in Galesburg and going that route. And I probably would have went active duty military, and who knows where I would have ended up, or whatever. And you stay in the Quad Cities, so I don't know if things would have changed as much for you, Tristan. But yeah, so I mean, it is different to think about, but we definitely would not be where we're at today had it not been.
Yeah.
So I mean, sometimes curve in the road doesn't necessarily take you to the place you don't want to go, but a place that maybe you need to go.
Yeah. So next episode, I think that's where we're gonna go, and we'll see what happens. But as
good.
as our listeners are aware, sometimes these things go in interesting directions.
Yes, especially today's. So,
But you know what? It was a great journey. It was a
it
great
is.
journey, and I'm glad that our listeners can join us for that. But I think next week on Tapping Into It, we're gonna hit the Great Divorce and see what happens.
All right, man. Well, it's always a pleasure to talk with you, fellas.
Indeed. Great to see you guys.
Likewise.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Until next time.
All right, we'll
Take
see
care,
you.
guys.